Why are you feeding Mom's bones? This happened when my husband was giving the dog treats. Bones to our pet. My niece suddenly pointed at the bone. My 5-year-old niece was always saying curious things, so I thought it was just another one of those times. But her face turning pale and starting to shake uncontrollably was not normal at all. No way, that couldn't possibly be true. As I began to investigate further, I was about to face some horrifying truth. My name is Samantha. I got married to my husband Johnson 3 years ago, and we were enjoying happy days together. If there was one worry, it was that we couldn't have children easily. But they say babies are a blessing, so there's no point in rushing. The slight loneliness I felt was filled by our dog Buddy, who we got in return. Besides, we had something to look forward to regularly as a couple. Sorry, again. This time, please take care of my daughter. That was the care of our 5-year-old niece, Lily, brought by my brother's wife, Rachel. Rachel, who had finished her maternity leave a few years ago, only brought Lily over on weekends when she had to work. Her niece was a very cute girl and had grown attached to us. Both my husband and I doted on her as if she were our child. Lily had a slightly mysterious power. It may sound strange to say this, but she was a child with exceptionally sharp intuition. She could predict snack menus and never lost at rock, paper, scissors against me. My husband seemed unfazed, but I jokingly called Lily's ability prophecy. Now, why do we end up taking care of Lily so often? Well, that's because of my brother Smith. He works for a well-known company and earns quite a bit. But my brother, who married her, took advantage of her earnings and started frequenting pachinko parlors without a job. So when Rachel worked on weekends, my brother would be absent, leaving Lily alone. Taking care of Lily was not a problem, but if this lifestyle continues, it will be a considerable burden on her. I suggested consulting our parents several times, but she gently declined. I appreciate the sentiment, but it's our problem, so I don't want to worry others. Besides, except for being fond of pachinko, he helps with household chores properly, she said. She wasn't considering divorce because they had children. However, during one of these discussions, I overheard my brother asking for money over the phone. Rachel, I'm on a roll at pachinko, but I'm a bit short on cash. Can you bring some over right now? I'll pay you back double. Promise. His carefree words leaked through the phone, and I felt annoyed. He clearly didn't understand what my sister-in-law was going through. Rachel smiled tiredly, and at a distance, Lily, who had been playing with my husband, started rummaging through the drawer and pulled out a cold medicine without being told, bringing it to Rachel. Mom, take this medicine. Thank you, but Mom is fine, so don't worry, okay? B is just a little tired. Lily is so kind. Even a child could be considerate, but when it came to my brother at that time, I didn't think much of it. However, the one who came to drop off Lily the following weekend was my brother Smith. It was usually Rachel who brought her, so I was a little surprised. How unusual. Sacrificing gambling for family duty. Don't say it in such a nasty way. I caught a cold, and I want you to take care of Lily for a few days. I have to go to the hospital and take care of myself, so I don't seem to have time to take care of her. Listening to that, I remembered when Lily brought me cold medicine. I'm worried. Should I go make dinner? No, please don't worry about it, she says. She'll be fine if she rests a bit. Let's take this opportunity to make sure you treat Rachel well too, okay? Yeah, I have to go back and take care of her right away. So I'll leave now, my brother said, eager to depart. Probably because his ears were hurting. You'll just lose that gambling anyway. Then Lily, seeing that, murmured, You said you were going to take care of Mom, right? You're not going today? Even though my daughter spoke to him, my brother left without even looking at Lily, hastily putting on his shoes and walking out. What's with that attitude, Ashley? As I gently stroked the seemingly lonely Lily, I scolded him in my mind. I planned to reprimand him firmly when he came next, but he showed up again later that day. And for what? Because he didn't have money and couldn't buy ingredients for dinner. He asked me to lend him some. No way. You didn't go to gambling again, did you? Rachel seemed much better at lunch, so I thought I'd take a light break. Anyway, can you lend me some money? She's waiting at home with an empty stomach. With that said, I couldn't exactly lecture him at length. Reluctantly, I handed him a $1.50 bill. Thanks. I'll pay you back double. As long as you pay it back. Don't worry, I'll soon get a large sum of money. Like a large sum of money? Is he talking about gambling again? Before I could question him further, he had already dashed out of the entrance. For the next 3 days, I didn't hear from my brother, and I continued to take care of Lily. I thought it was fine since it seemed like just a cold, but I was starting to get worried. Just as I was thinking of going to take care of him on my own, my brother suddenly showed up without any notice, and he had shopping bags filled with a large amount of snacks in both hands. I was so busy with unfamiliar nursing that I couldn't even contact you. Sorry about that. She's still not better, so I can't let you see her yet. But Rachel seems to be getting much better. Seeing my brother laughing carelessly, I felt relieved that Rachel seemed to be okay. That's fine. But what about those snacks? These are a thank you for taking care of Lily this time. Since I'll probably ask you for more favors soon, this is part of that. The bag he handed over had a lineup of snacks that looked like typical casino prizes. He probably went there again. However, seeing Lily's eyes shining next to me, I decided not to question him, and I handed the heavy bag to my husband. Our husband, who loves sweets, was delighted. Also, I prepared something special. My brother plunged his hand into the bag of snacks and pulled something out. T-Dog bone-shaped gum. I bought it as a thank you because Buddy has been keeping Lily company. Our dog noticed the sweets and happily ran around my husband's feet. This bone-shaped gum has a good reputation. Let's give it to Buddy right away, my husband said. Thank you, and took out the gum from the bag. Buddy got very excited about the gum, which looked just like a real bone, and immediately started chewing it. Does have a good reputation. I didn't expect him to be this happy. While laughing at the excited Buddy, I suddenly looked at Lily. For some reason, she was pale and trembling uncontrollably. I'm still worried, so I'll go take care of her directly. I can make her something nutritious. No, there's no need for that. If you catch a cold too by doing that, who will take care? My brother stubbornly insisted, wiping his cold sweat and sighing heavily. Despite how it looks, Lily is important to me. I want to do my best to keep her from catching a cold. He spoke passionately, but he hadn't taken any basic cold precautions like wearing a mask. Would someone with such conviction neglect such elementary things? However, before I could say the next word, my brother quickly ended the conversation. It's about time I made dinner for Rachel, so I'm going home. As I watched him leave in a hurry, I shifted my gaze to Lily, who my husband was holding, and she was still trembling slightly. Hey, Lily, you mentioned Mom turning into bones earlier, right? What's that about? I'm not sure, but at that moment, it felt like Mom turned into bones, I said, and burst into tears, shaking her head. When asked anything else, I'll follow my brother. Take care of her, please, I said to my husband as I rushed out of the house. And it was just as my brother turned right while keeping a certain distance to avoid being noticed, I followed behind him. But what could my brother be hiding? An affair? Or maybe a marital dispute? None of these seemed to connect to what Lily said about bones. As I pondered over this, my brother continued straight ahead instead of turning down the road he should have. There's no house over there. Where is he going? After about 5 minutes of walking, we arrived at a deserted park on the outskirts of town. It was a park where even the swings were rusted and unusable, and he was meeting a man there alone. Even from a distance, the man he was meeting was muscular. Although their conversation wasn't clear due to the distance, my brother seemed to be fawning over him. As I held my breath and listened in on their conversation, I caught a snippet of what they were saying, but the content was too shocking. No way. It can't be true. I almost screamed and covered my mouth with my hand. Then I couldn't stand still and ran to my brother's house. When I arrived, I used the spare key that had been given to me before to enter. And the next moment, I felt a heavy, polluted atmosphere. And it was no wonder, as garbage was scattered around, an unpleasant odor filled the air, and it was clear that it was an unsanitary environment with no ventilation. "Where's Rachel?" I called out her name at the entrance, but there was no sound from inside the house. So I reluctantly took off my shoes and went inside. After peeking into the living room and kitchen, I opened the door to the bedroom in the back and was left speechless. There, lying on the futon, with both hands and feet bound with rope and a gag in her mouth, was Rachel. "Rachel, are you okay?" I hurried over to her and untied her restraints. "Water, please." When I took a bottle from the refrigerator and handed it to my sister-in-law, she drank it all at once. How awful! Did my brother do this? Right, even though he's my brother, I felt terrified. But for now, I needed to call an ambulance for Rachel. I rushed out, forgetting my smartphone at home. As I stood up to use the landline, the next moment, my heart almost stopped. To my surprise, my brother, who had returned at some point, met my eyes. "Smith, what on earth is going on? Explain yourself." I had no choice. If I didn't do this, my life would be in danger. Is it about debt? While searching for Rachel, I searched the rooms. Then, I happened to see a large pile of collection letters thrown on the living room table. "The reason we're broke is because of you. The person you were talking to in the park earlier, they're a debt collector, right? You were snooping around there. You need to make sure to check behind you as well." My brother laughed without a hint of remorse. It seems he was taken in by a local scammer, got involved in a shady investment scheme, and ended up with a large amount of debt from dubious financial transactions. However, in the end, it turned out to be a scam, and he was left with nothing and in trouble with repayment. My brother started thinking of nefarious things. The conversation I overheard a few hours ago during my surveillance at the park revealed that he and the debt collectors planned to make Rachel disappear and collect insurance money. But I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think my brother could be such a terrifying person. It's tough for me too. The kids are noisy, and Rachel keeps saying I should work. I was aiming for a big turnaround, but even the people I trusted betrayed me. That's just why. Couldn't you just work hard and support your family, Jim? That kind of boring life doesn't suit me. My life is for myself, so I can do whatever I want. I couldn't help but feel disgusted by his selfishness. I didn't want to believe that such a man was my brother. "I'm going to report this to the police. You need to pay for your sins and reflect on your actions." "How are you going to report it?" Saying that my brother flashed the knife he had hidden behind his back. "You will be coming to take care of Rachel today and stay over. I'll let you know. If it comes to this, I'll have to lock you up in this room too." Saying so, my brother approached the landline phone behind him and ripped out the cord. "Bro, stop this nonsense. If I don't go home anytime soon, Johnson will find it suspicious." It seemed he hadn't even considered that possibility. I was about to say something, but the next moment he looked at me with a defiant smile. "Hey, Samantha, want to team up with me?" "Huh?" I was speechless at the unexpected words that came out of my brother's mouth. However, he paid no attention to my reaction. "I've been thinking about the perfect crime." With a smug expression, he gleefully revealed something unexpected. But I had a bad feeling about it. Ever since I was a child, when my brother makes that kind of face, it's all about being a bastard. However, it is unwise to provoke him at this point. "So, how do you do this whole perfect crime thing?" "It's Buddy." My brother, after a lot of pretense, said something unexpected, as if he was about to tell me a very special secret. "Huh? The perfect crime involving Buddy. You saw it earlier, right? That dog was happily chewing on bones." What my brother described as the perfect crime was truly outrageous. He planned to dismember Rachel when she became a missing person as planned and dispose of her. And then, he thought of feeding those bones to our Buddy for disposal. I was so shocked that I couldn't close my mouth. "I can't believe it. Were you thinking of doing that?" "Oh, don't you think it's a brilliant idea? If it works out, I'll share the insurance money with you too, Samantha. You want your own home, right?" However, just as I was about to say the next words, my brother's face suddenly tensed up. At that moment, the intercom in our house rang. "Hey, don't move and wait. If you do anything unnecessary, there will be consequences." With a glare at me and Rachel, my brother headed for the front door. And the moment the key turned in the lock, the front door was forcefully kicked open. "Police, drop your weapons and surrender." "What? Why?" In the blink of an eye, I couldn't comprehend it either. Why did the police show up just in time to apprehend my brother? "Did you make the call?" "I didn't. Wasn't it you?" I shook my head as we stood there dumbfounded. One of the police officers rushed over to us. "Are you okay? An ambulance will be here soon." Why did you come to help us? No one made a call." "We received a call from a little girl. She said, 'Please help my mommy.' She was about 5 years old." "Oh, that must have been Lily. She warned us of the danger." We relieved Rachel, and I watched as my brother, restrained by the police, struggled and thrashed about. "Darn it, that Lily! If it weren't for her meddling, my plan would have been perfect." Rhyming with regret, he pounded the floor with his fist. "Huh? How is that perfect?" Spied me. Rachel couldn't help but shout out in disbelief. Listen, what's with the dismemberment plan? You can't show the doctor a dismembered body. You won't get a death certificate, and then you won't be able to claim the insurance money, right? And besides, why bother with faking illness? Wouldn't it be simpler to just do it all out? Feeding bones to a dog to make them disappear? Buddy is a small dog. How many years do you think it'll take for him to finish eating the bones of a grown adult? And Buddy is a rescue dog we got at the adoption event almost 10 years ago. There's no way he can eat something so hard. With each merciless criticism from me and Rachel, my brother had no room for rebuttal, and tears welled up in his eyes. But our anger wasn't going to be quelled by this. You loafing around every day without working has your brain turned to mush. Yeah, seriously. If you have time to think about some perfect crime or whatever, you should study some basic common sense. And then finally, he burst into tears and started crying out loud. Darn it! Everyone's making fun of me. Well, it's your fault, isn't it? Yeah, die, our brother, what a disgrace. At least reflect on your actions properly behind bars. Well, we're all cutting ties with you, so we don't care what happens to you anymore. What? Are you all abandoning me? Don't say such cold-hearted things. Well, that's a bit too generous of you. You've been slacking off all this time, so now you'll have to pay the price alone. Now, officer, please take this man away. After that, my brother continued to wail and complain, but he was handcuffed and taken away in a police car. Rachel soon headed to the hospital in the ambulance that arrived, and eventually with my husband, I reunited with Lily Chan, who had rushed over. Thank you for today, Lily. Both Mommy and I are safe. As my niece happily nodded at my words, my husband and I smiled at each other and resolved to continue supporting Rachel and Lily closely. Later on, my brother was sentenced to prison. Rachel divorced him and demanded $5,000 in compensation and $100,000 in child support. Since my parents and I cut ties with my brother, his future life filled with debt will be tough even after he's released. My husband, Buddy, and I continue to live happily, occasionally taking care of my niece, Lily. Are you lonely when Mommy's at work? Not at all, because soon I'll be a big sister. A month later, with the discovery of a new life through prenatal checkups, I finally understood the meaning of my niece's words. This was all about the story. Thanks for watching, and please make sure to let me know how was this. Also, like the video and subscribe for more awesome stories. See you in the next story.